like I said, welcome to the Fall 2023 New Feature webinar. We try and do these more frequently, mostly around major new feature releases from the strategic roadmap. In this case, we have recently released notifications and subscriptions, so we'll be covering that today. We'll also be going over some more intermediate features. So let's go ahead and move over to the next slide. For those of you who don't know me, my name is Billy Upchurch, product manager here at SmartPM, also was a co-founder. I come from the world of construction delay analysis, so 13 years experience doing that work. I've been was 5 years as director of implementation here, being more customer facing. I've since taken a step back and kind of more on the back side of things, helping out with the product. I do have a Georgia Tech degree in building construction, and I am certified as a product manager now, so I can act like I know what I'm doing. Today, what we'll be going through is about 11-minute long video on subscriptions and all that encompasses and how to set that up. We're also going to cover notable new features since the last webinar we had back in, I believe it was April. So we'll be covering the notable new ones and talking a little bit more in depth about them in case you missed them. We'll be going over the long-term and intermediate roadmaps, so what's coming up in SmartPM. Not shown in this agenda, we're also going to talk a little bit about the feature request process and what that looks like nowadays. And finally, the Q&A. Like I said, any questions, drop them in. I'm happy to answer. They don't even have to be about anything we've talked about here. If something's just been eating at you and you just want to ask, hopefully I'm going to be able to answer it. So let's go ahead and queue up the video. And like I said, it's about 11 minutes long. It's a full walkthrough at all 3 levels of subscriptions. All right, so without further ado, I'm going to start the video here, and we'll join back up after that. Subscriptions allow me to communicate with stakeholders on my project automatically by sending emails with any SmartPM report attached to it and triggering whenever any new analysis is done on my project. So there are 3 different spots in SmartPM where we can set up subscriptions, the first of which will be in the project itself. So I'll click on my SmartPM activity and milestone tracking project, and I'm going to head over to the right-hand side and click on settings. I'll then click on project subscriptions, and now I have the ability to create a subscription specific to this project. To get started, I'll come to the right and click on the blue plus button. I'm going to give my new subscription a name, and I'll give it a description. Now, the first step in building the subscription is to decide what information I want to send to my stakeholders. To do that, I'll head over to select the milestone option, and I have 3 options to start from. All milestones, that's obviously anytime any milestone on any model is updated in this project, an email will be sent with the information that I need to get out. The primary milestone option reserves SmartPM to only sending emails with the report attachments on the primary milestone analysis. Finally, specific milestones allow me to discreetly choose model and milestone combinations within my project to send the information on. So I can click on select model. I may come to my October baseline, and I want to send the information based on substantial completion only on my October 26th baseline. I can also add another milestone if I want to. Maybe I'll come back to that October 26th baseline, and I also want to make sure I'm sending information based on dry-in. The next step is now to select which reports I want attached in my email based on substantial completion and dry-in. So I'll click the plus button under Generate Report, and now I have my drop-down to select from. I'm going to include the trends graph. I'm going to include my narrative report, and I'm also going to choose my SmartPM report. Now, in some of the reports, we do have a little bit of extra information we have to provide. So in this case, in the SmartPM report, there is the summarized version of the schedule. So I need to tell SmartPM to either summarize that by specific activity codes or by WBS. And in this case, I'm going to do a level 2 to a level 4, and I'm good to go. The last step in all of this is to select who will receive the emails with these reports.
So I'll click the plus button under notifications. From here, I can say, hey, anybody on this project that is listed as a company user, send it to them. I can also say more specifically, anybody who's a company user and also a schedule administrator, please send it to them. I also do have the ability to notify specific users that may not be users in SmartPM. So if you have subcontractors or owners or general contractors that are not necessarily part of your organization that you do want to send this information to, you have the ability to enter any email in here. I'll click the add button, and now I have everybody I need on here to be alerted. The last step is going to be to click save. And voila, I've created a subscription at the project level, so only active for updates to this specific project. The next subscription type is at the user level. So this will give me the ability to set up subscriptions specific to myself. So if I want to send reports just to me, I can do that here. To get started, I'll head over to the left nav and I'm going to select the user profile button. This will open my profile settings page. Now cross back over and I'm going to find the My Subscriptions button in the right nav. This will now land me in the My Subscriptions page, which will show me all of the user level subscriptions I have active. Every user is going to have 2 pre-populated subscriptions. The first of which is the delay analysis emails, which everybody knows. If you want to have the delay analysis emails that hit your inbox with every schedule update turned off, all you have to do now is simply uncheck the deployed button and you will no longer receive those delay analysis complete emails. The second pre-populated subscription is going to be the new SmartPM Digest email. Based on the frequency of your choosing, SmartPM will send you an email that breaks down the projects that you have access to in SmartPM to allow you to see things like how many of my projects have low schedule quality, how many of my projects are out of date with the new schedule, how many of my projects are suffering from low health. This email will give you a quick and easy at-a-glance look at the state of your projects in SmartPM based on your company's requirements. Now to edit the frequency of this email, I can head over to the right-hand side and click the blue pencil button. That will then open up the editor and I can hit this drop down here, and by default, all emails will be sent on Friday. As a note, all of these will go out at 8 a.m. Eastern time on the day you select. So I might also want to include Monday and Wednesday. I'll click save. And now just to confirm, SmartPM will send the digest email to my inbox 8 a.m. every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. On top of the 2 pre-populated subscriptions, I can also add my own customized subscriptions. To do that, just like at the project level, I would click the blue plus button. To get started, once again, I'm going to give it a name. What I'll actually do is head over to the right, and I'm going to select what projects that I have access to that I want this subscription to be active on. So unlike the project level subscription where I know what project I'm interacting with, I need to give SmartPM a set of parameters for it to understand what projects I want this subscription to cover. I'm going to head down to region, and I might want SmartPM to send me an email with the reports necessary based on any project in the Southeast or Northeast region. So I'm an East Coast guy. I also want to say, hey, SmartPM, not only Northeast and Southeast, but also make sure it's only based on multifamily or industrial. So what I have set up here is SmartPM is going to go see, okay, I have a new analysis that is completed. Is this project either in the Southeast or the Northeast? And then also, is it multifamily or industrial? If the project meets any one of the region parameters and segment parameters, then the subscription will trigger and the email will be fired off. Now, to be very clear, these will only work on projects that I also have access to. So if there is another Southeast multifamily project that me, the user, does not have access to in SmartPM, I will not get reports based on that project. The second step is going to be choosing the analysis type. So much like we had at the project level, I want to tell SmartPM what analysis I want the emails based on. Now, the large difference here is since we are not at the project level, SmartPM does not know model and milestone information. So at this level, I need to give a little bit more general parameters. So primary milestone, the latest baseline full schedule, the latest baseline all milestones, all models full schedule, all models all milestones. So what we're doing here is casting a net instead of being a little bit more discreet like we were at the project level. And this way I can make sure that I'm getting the information I need without having to be too specific. So in this case, I'm going to keep it simple. I'm going to choose latest baseline, all milestones. So now the latest schedule baseline I have set in any project will be monitored, and any milestones within that baseline will be emailed off of. The next step, just like the last project level, I'm going to click generate report. And in this case, I'm just going to do a simple should have started, should have finished report. Lastly, in the notifications, since I'm only setting this up at the user level, the only option I'm going to have is only me. No need to toggle that off. I'll click save, and boom, my subscription has been set up. And now anytime I'm updating a southeast or northeast, multifamily or industrial, I'm going to get a should have started, should have finished report to my inbox. Finally, the last subscription type is going to be the company level subscriptions. If you are a company admin, you are going to have access to set up subscriptions for anyone you would like to on any project you would like to. To do this, you would head over to the admin button on the left nav, cross back over, and find the global subscriptions button in the right nav. I can see here I have no global subscriptions set up, so what I'll do is hit add subscription here in the top right corner. Just like with all my other subscriptions, I'm going to give this a name. I'll leave a description for myself. And now, just like I did at the user subscription level, I need to tell SmartPM what projects I want this subscription to be set up for based on metadata. In this case, I'm going to utilize the project plan type dropdown and select any controls projects. I'll go back to region, and this time I'll do the Western region. And I'm going to leave segment blank. So what I'm doing here is I'm saying any control level projects in SmartPM that are on the Western side of the United States, I want this subscription to run off of. Also, just like the user level reports, I need to give a more generic model milestone breakdown. In this case, I'm only going to utilize the primary milestone on any Western control projects. I'll go to generate report, and I'm going to select the schedule summary report, which once again, I need to give SmartPM a little bit more information on. So I'm going to do a level 2 to a level 4. I'm going to put it on tabloid. And I'm using this because I have selected controls projects, and the schedule summary report does have delay analysis information on it, which I'm going to be able to see through that project level type. I'll hit the notification plus button. And now, just like at the project level, since I'm not doing this just for me like at the user level, but like at the project level, I need to let SmartPM know who to send this to. So I may say anybody who is a company read-only user in the Western region, send the schedule summary report to them. I'll click save. And there we go. I have my global subscription set up and I'm off to the races. Guys, thanks for watching this video on the 3 different subscription levels in SmartPM, and happy reporting.
Okay, thanks for watching that video, guys. So just a quick summary, the subscriptions is meant to be able to send reports out to stakeholders and people within your organization, triggered by any analysis being complete. The 3 levels, once again, are project level, which you get to decide based on metadata of your projects. You'll also have it at the user level, which you can set up dedicated email reports just to yourself. And then at the project level, which obviously will go to any project participants that you assign. So pretty powerful tool. We've seen a lot of good use out of it so far, and really designed to cut out the middle steps of having to load a schedule in and then go back into the project to go download the reports. This is just going to get to the inboxes of who needs them the most automatically. All right. So let's start talking about some of the notable new features we've had over the past few months that you may have missed. Really, at the trends level, the 3 big new, freshly new trends, I should say, is the hit rate report, the window start accuracy, and the window finish accuracy. So these 3 charts are representations of the should have started, should have finished report. So in that should have started, should have finished report, when you see the red, yellow, green donuts, that's what's reflected in this particular graph. So if I scroll down, I can see my charts here. So for instance, in my latest update, I had 9 activities that started on time, 6 that started late, and 26 activities that should have started between October 26th and November 30th didn't start at all. As a brand new feature, what we've added is actually in this hover over, I can click right where it says, click this bar for more info. I can just click on that green bar, and it's automatically going to open up the should have started, should have finished report and filter for those 9 activities that started on time. So it's a very easy way for me to go say, hey, which 16 activities didn't finish at all? I just click right there on the red bar, and boom, that report pops up, and I'm filtered for just the activities that did not finish on time. I can clear that filter out if I'd like to, and then I'm back to just my normal should have started, should have finished report. The hit rate percentage is going to be the cross section of activities that both started on time and finished on time. So, 14% of the activities there did that. So it's the cross section there of your activities that were on and off time. All right. Going back to the presentation. Filtering and grouping in the should have started, should have finished report. So kind of hinted at that there a little bit. In the should have started, should have finished report, we now have the ability to group by either activity code or WBS. So I can quickly get the WBS structures up there for you guys to organize this a little bit better. I also have the ability to filter by any filter that I've created in my Gantt chart. So anything that you've done, and you can also create new filters here, but you can now filter for, say, just the drywall activities. And now I can go say, hey, first floor, second floor drywall, those activities were, we didn't exactly get them finished on time, they just finished late. We have updated the admin page, so that is now in line with our current user architecture or user interface. There's also a new user profile page where you are able to go in and update your personal information outside of the admin page. We've also added what we're calling an inactive project plan. This was a major feature request we had been getting for a decently long time. This allows you to load in projects that are either complete or dormant and not have them count against your kind of overall SmartPM plan. So it's a less expensive type. It allows you to get projects in there. Really, the main benefit of loading your older projects into SmartPM that aren't active is to inform the executive dashboard. So the executive dashboard can then go take a look at those inactive projects, pull from those projects, and give you a better sense of history of your company. With that inactive project plan, there's also now the ability to filter the executive and company dashboard by project plan. You can come to the executive dashboard or the company dashboard, for instance, here, and now I can filter for just my non-inactive projects, for instance, and apply that. Over the past few months, we've improved the backend storage for more efficient analysis processing. You should have noticed over the past couple weeks increased delay analysis speed, and that should hopefully get you guys moving a little bit quicker. Talk to your implementation specialist that you do now have the ability to add your company logo into most SmartPM reports. And finally, you can now designate a user-specific SmartPM home view. So what does that mean? That means here in my user page, I can designate when I log into SmartPM, whether I want to land directly on the company dashboard or the executive dashboard. So for those of you, I'm guessing most of the people on this call are going to be SMEs. But for those of you who have executives who are logging into SmartPM, I would probably set them up on the executive dashboard as their default, and they'll just land right in there. This also will reflect where you go when you click the home button. So this home button reacts directly to that setting. So moving on, we have released a handful of new global configurations, which I think is everybody's favorite, especially mine. The first one is probably the biggest one, allowing SmartPM to honor actual date changes. In the past, when you loaded a schedule into SmartPM, the actual dates that were in that schedule got locked in. And if they were changed later on, SmartPM would ignore the change to that actual start date. You can now ask SmartPM to honor that change through the global configuration. Now, the next one's kind of interesting. This forces SmartPM to calculate track 2 analysis end dates based on the milestone you select and not the overall float path. So what do I mean? Let's say that this milestone is the activity we've tracked to, but it does have technically a predecessor that extends out past that milestone. Before that setting, SmartPM would show, when you're looking at your milestone table, for instance, SmartPM would show you the finish date of the latest activity in the float path. So you would be getting this finish date here. If you change that setting in SmartPM in the global configurations, SmartPM will force itself to show you the end date based on the activity you've selected. And that's what you'll see. So the problem that was happening was confusion was occurring. People were looking at the milestone table, seeing a date that was different than the milestone. And for those who don't maybe necessarily understand float paths, they were getting confused and it was hard to explain. So we are forcing that in there. Now, this will still be a factor. And because of that factor, I'm going to skip ahead one slide. We have added a schedule quality metric for activities later than track 2. So if you do have a situation where a predecessor activity is scheduled to finish later than an activity that's being tracked, SmartPM is going to flag it because that is considered a bad practice. Let me make sure I've got my questions up. Okay, cool. Another global configuration that's in there that I would actually suggest you go change from the default is the remove added calendar work time from the changes. Some of you may have noticed that when a new calendar is added in a new schedule update, the change log would then log every single holiday that was listed or a special day, special hours in a day as a change. By changing that, SmartPM will no longer do that. It will just, when you add a new calendar, there will just be one change and it will just be one added calendar, not an added calendar, and here's all the exception days in that calendar. Finally, for SmartPM to honor the original baseline end date as presented in the native file for the analysis, what was happening is when you would load a baseline schedule, obviously SmartPM would get its end date. And then as you loaded new schedules in, if the new schedules had backdated actuals that actually caused activities that were unfinished in the baseline to be finished before the baseline's data date, that could affect the end date if they were on the critical path. So what was happening was people were seeing their baseline end date shift because of those backdated actual dates. Now, that's not necessarily an incorrect way to study it. If in my former days as a delay consultant, that is what I would do. I would say, well, look, your baseline schedule was incorrect because you missed statusing activities in it. This is what it should have looked like had you updated your baseline schedule correctly. Now, outside of a claims situation or an argument for that matter, SmartPM can lock that baseline end date in And then anything that would have caused that would actually be considered acceleration. So you would see some acceleration happening because of those backdated dates, but your end date would be locked in. So really that setting, if you flip it to honor the native file's end date, would be best for kind of month-to-month tracking on a project and not necessarily something in a claim situation. Other new features in the schedule quality. There is a new schedule quality deep dive section in the help desk. If you head to the help desk and go to the schedule quality editing section, you'll see a full video, a brand new video for schedule quality editor walkthrough. So that's me taking you through a deep dive into the editor, making sure everybody understands all the buttons. You'll also see a section for every schedule quality metric, which will lay out why it's important, kind of a brief blurb about the metric and why it's important, and then a couple of bullets in each one talking about, you know, hey, this is something that can lead to inaccurate progress reporting or a misrepresentation of progress or reduced transparency, right? So a couple of pitfalls that can occur because of each metric. As a bonus, if you go to the handout section, you will be able to download this in a nicely formatted PDF in the webinar window. If you find the handout section, it's called SmartPM Schedule Quality Metrics Explained. Please download that and take it and use it as a handout. We have added a low float activities metric. Obviously, it's the opposite of high float. It's activities that are below a certain float threshold to track criticality. We've talked about this. Now, this one's an interesting one, and this one gets a little bit more technical. So Primavera P6, and I'm guessing OPC, but Primavera and SmartPM identify out-of-sequence logic different in two different ways. Neither one is necessarily incorrect, but they are a little bit different. We got this request in because some contractors have ownership consultants or owners reps that are monitoring their out-of-sequence work, but they're monitoring it based on the P6 protocols instead of the SmartPM protocols, so some confusion was happening. The two big differences here is that SmartPM will consider the successor or the next activity as out-of-sequence, while P6 would list the predecessor activity. So for example, SmartPM considers this last activity, A1020, as the out-of-sequence activity, while P6 is going to list the A1010 activity here as the out-of-sequence activity. Once again, neither one necessarily wrong. It just depends on through what lens you're looking at it, but that is the difference there. Finally, P6, once both points of a logic tie are marked as actually started, I keep getting confused. P6 no longer considers it out of sequence. So in this case, you can see FS9 and FS8 are linked logically, finish to start, right? So in this case, since the finish and the start are both actualized, P6 will not list it as out of sequence. SmartPM will still pick that up as out of sequence. There's a couple of reasons, some technical, some just because we believe that it still is out of sequence. But there is a setting now in the schedule quality editor. So if you go to the out of sequence metric in the schedule quality editor, there is a checkbox to turn on the P6 protocols to override the SmartPM protocols. That one's a little bit technical, so fun. Another schedule quality update. Before, when we were looking at changed actual dates, SmartPM would list every single changed actual date across every single schedule. Now we have it set to where it's only going to list the changed actual dates for the schedule that you're viewing. So a little bit more of a cleaner presentation on that. Finally, with notable new features, we have a bunch of them. Gantt chart, we've added a longest path filter as opposed to just the critical path filter. You will now see late date columns in there. You will see driving logic indicators in the logic section. We've also added unit percent complete columns, and there is now a physical percent complete curve in the field log of activities. So you can compare the overall percent complete versus the physical percent complete. No questions. Okay. I know I'm not doing that good of a job. So feel free to fire away at any questions. Roadmap. So coming up, we run two different roadmaps. We have a long-term strategic effort roadmap, and we also have a more intermediate. Even though that's a typo that says this should read intermediate efforts. Long-term efforts, we are working on our AI implementation. So we are in the thick of it there with a lot of cool comings and goings that are going to be happening because of it. So we are training SmartPM to identify activities automatically. The dev team is also right in the middle of customizable reporting. That's going to be a great new feature here, hopefully for everybody, that will allow you to kind of cherry pick metrics across SmartPM and build your own report off of it. So right now, all the reporting in SmartPM is pretty static, and it's just kind of what you get is what you get. This will allow you to be able to go pick the metrics that you want in a report and build one yourself. The intermediate efforts coming up, we are right now I'm putting the finishing touches on scoping out contractual end date metrics. So being able to now take those contractual dates that you set in your track twos and actually put them to work for you. We are building a page that will give more information on the distribution chart. So one of the things that was brought to my attention is that this chart here doesn't necessarily have any backup, right? So I can just kind of see the figures. We are building a page that will actually give you the backup for this chart, so you can see the 68 activities that are scheduled to finish in January, actually. Or what were the 36 activities that were baselined in October but did not get done, right? So we are building that page. It should be coming up relatively soon. An executive dashboard export, we've gotten a couple of requests for more detailed reporting on the executive dashboard, so we will be building that out. And another one that's kind of been lingering has been actually putting the amount of points you are being deducted on your schedule quality score in the user interface. So on the cards that we see in the schedule quality report, you soon will be able to see, hey, I'm losing 5 points because of negative lag, or I'm losing 2.5 points on positive lag, depending on if they're red or yellow. Right, Daniel, I got your question. So elaborating on using of AI. So I can't elaborate too much until we actually get it out there to you guys. But using artificial intelligence, it will bolster a lot of the reporting and will make a lot of the reporting in SmartPM mean more. So being able to do more around subcontractors, being able to do more around subcontractors and trades, but more putting a deeper context to each kind of piece of SmartPM, using that AI to understand what type of activity we're dealing with here. Josh, so moving projects from inactive to controls, you're gonna have to get in touch with your implementation or customer success manager. Right now, that is something that the common user cannot do. So I would get in touch with whoever you work with on the customer success side, and they'll help you out. I got another one from Daniel. Does the effort involve utilizing AI to create schedules? That's eventually, yes. Eventually, hopefully, that is something that could maybe one day happen. It's not in our immediate plans, but it could possibly be something we look at down the road. All right, so feature request update. As most of you guys know, based on the number of requests we get, there is a feature request button that you can find here in the suggestions page. If you click on that, it will take you into our feature request. It's kind of like a little, I guess not quite a Wikipedia, but it's a place for you to come and see what all has been requested. We talked about it last time, but you can search. What I usually encourage people to do when they're here is first search for your request that you have in mind to see if somebody has already submitted it. And so if you want to see some summary report improvements, you can click that up button right there and upvote it, and that'll bring it closer to the top. One of the, some of the feedback we've been getting on the feature requests is people feel that your requests are being sent off and then you might as well just fire them into space and they just go and nobody is reading them. I can promise you that every single one that comes across, I look at and I vet. What I'm going to do is start being a little bit more active in Sleek Plan in the feature request page and commenting on features. As feature requests come in, we assess the value that it provides to the full user base, and that's actually one of the larger pieces to deciding what gets done first. So if it's something that is super specific to one customer that may not provide a lot of value to across the board, that's something that I may look at and go, maybe we can get to it eventually. If it's something that'll immediately provide value to everybody, and that I feel that everybody can use, we'll bump it up closer to the top. We also do take a look at the upvoting, and we take a look at the interaction with all the feature requests. So I'm going to be a little bit more active in there, and I'm going to start leaving comments on feature requests, kind of letting you guys know in real time the initial status of them as they come in. You can also always, in the feature request, in the feature request page, if you click on the roadmap button here, this will let you know what is coming and going. So I keep this up to date every other Monday. What is under review, what is currently planned to go, what is being worked on at the moment, what was completed last sprint, and finally just the history of the completed feature requests we have there. So know that I am looking at them. Know that we do get a lot. You guys are awesome and very interactive with us. But as they come in, I'm kind of vetting them and trying to put a first pass on them to see, what is something we can do immediately and what is something that we'll have to wait for a later date. I wish I had 10,000 developers to get them all done all at once, but that's just not the world we live in. But we are taking a look at all those. All right. So with the last bit of time we have, I think I've answered all the questions that are in the questions menu. If you guys do have any more questions, please fire away. Sorry for the technical difficulties at the beginning. I was unaware to go to webinar. Once I start the webinar, I also have to click another button that says, yeah, I really want to start it, I guess. But if anybody has any more questions, please let me know. You can always email me directly at my beupchurch@smartpmtech.com, and I'm happy to answer any product questions there. And I'll give it a couple more minutes, but if not, everybody, I appreciate you for attending. We'll be following up with a video of this webinar in the coming days. And yeah. All right, let's see here. Where can we see the video? We missed it due to technical. Okay, yeah, so the video is on the help desk. If you come to the help desk, help.smartpmtech.com, and type in subscriptions, you will see creating automated report subscriptions. The video is there. So you can just go grab it and watch it right there in the help desk. Okay. Thanks, everybody. Yeah, let me know if there's anything else I can do for you, and have a great rest of your week.